Olivia, a homeless girl with nothing but her dreams, stumbles upon a wallet one cold evening. It's not just any wallet, it's filled with riches. As she debates whether to keep it or return it, little does she know this decision will change her life forever. Before we dive into today's story, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an amazing story. And if you're already part of the family, thank you for being here. Let's get started with today's incredible journey. Olivia was just a girl who had dreams, a girl whose life had been broken by circumstances beyond her control. She found herself on the cold, unforgiving streets, her stomach growling with hunger and her body shivering from the biting winds. Every day was a struggle just to survive. The city she wandered through was one of glaring contrasts. Wealthy mansions lined the streets, while people like Olivia roamed the alleys, invisible to the world. She had once been a hopeful soul, eager to make something of herself, but life had pulled the rug out from under her. Now, all she could do was survive, living moment to moment. She had no family to turn to and no friends who could help. Every passing day was a reminder of how much she had lost. She had dreams of becoming something more, but those dreams seemed so far away now. All she wanted was warmth, food, and maybe, just maybe, a chance to start over. But life, it seemed, had other plans for her. With her belongings crammed into a ragged bag and no shelter, she found herself wandering the same streets day after day. One evening, just as the sun dipped behind the towering city buildings, Olivia's luck seemed to take a turn. As she walked past an expensive restaurant, a glimmer of leather caught her eye. She bent down and picked up a wallet lying on the sidewalk. Her heart skipped a beat as she saw it was no ordinary wallet. It was expensive, made of fine leather, and stuffed with cash, credit cards, and even an ID card. For a moment, she forgot all about her struggles, staring at the wallet in awe. The temptation was real. She could use the money to get by for days, maybe even weeks. But something inside her told her it wasn't right. She had lived by a code of honesty, even in the hardest times. And now, holding someone else's fortune, she knew she had a decision to make. Would she keep it, or would she return it? Little did she know this moment would change her life forever. Olivia sat on the sidewalk, staring down at the wallet in her hands. The crisp bills inside seemed to mock her, offering a glimpse into a world she could only dream of. She could almost taste the freedom it promised. With the money, she could buy a warm meal, maybe even a change of clothes. It was a chance to forget her pain, if only for a moment. The cold wind howled around her, but it was nothing compared to the turmoil inside her. Her stomach growled louder, a constant reminder of her hunger, but it was more than just food that she craved. Olivia wanted stability. She wanted the kind of life that the wallet represented: comfort, luxury, and an escape from the hardship she had faced for so long. She had been on the streets for months now, with no end in sight. The thought of just holding on to the wallet, of spending the money and temporarily stepping into that world, was tempting. But then her conscience kicked in. Olivia's mother had always taught her to be honest, to hold on to her integrity no matter the situation. "You may not have much, Olivia," her mother had once told her, "but your honesty will always be worth more than gold." Those words echoed in her mind now, reminding her that there was more to life than what money could buy. She couldn't let herself become someone she despised just for a quick fix. She looked at the wallet again. The ID card caught her eye, and for a moment she felt a pang of sympathy for the person who had lost it. This wallet, filled with money, belonged to someone who had no idea their prized possession was lying on the streets. To them, It was just another thing to carry around, something they would hardly notice losing. But to Olivia, it was a lifeline. She thought about the person whose name was on the card. Was this a rich business person who would never miss the money, or someone else struggling in their own way? Olivia tried to imagine their life, the privileges they had. It was hard to do, especially when she had nothing. The idea of returning the wallet felt almost foolish. Why return something that could change her life? But deep down, Olivia knew what she had to do. The world she had come from, the one where she had her integrity, was more important than any amount of money. The moment of temptation passed. She stood up, clutching the wallet tightly, and made her decision. She would return it. As she walked through the city streets, she couldn't shake the feeling of doubt gnawing at her. What if the person who owned the wallet was someone who would never understand why she did it? What if they simply dismissed her as nothing more than a beggar? What if they didn't even care that she had returned it? But Olivia reminded herself that doing the right thing wasn't about being recognized or praised. It was about her own peace of mind. The long journey ahead to find the wallet's owner felt heavy, but it was the only path she could take. She had made her choice, and now she had to follow through. As she passed the luxurious stores, the neon signs flashing in the night, Olivia felt out of place. She wasn't like the people walking around, dressed in expensive clothes, talking on their phones, living lives of comfort. She felt small, insignificant, just a girl from the streets. Yet with each step, she gained a little more confidence. Her decision to return the wallet wasn't about fitting into that world. It was about standing firm in her own. She walked for what felt like hours, the streets seeming endless, her heart pounding in her chest. Olivia didn't know exactly where she was headed, but she trusted that if she followed the address on the ID card, she would find the owner. Eventually, she came across a tall building, a mansion with tall gates and a sleek, modern design. This was it. The address on the card matched. This was the home of the person who had lost the wallet. Standing at the gates, Olivia hesitated. She could turn around now, walk away, and no one would ever know. But she knew that wasn't the kind of person she wanted to be. She stepped forward, her heart racing as she pressed the buzzer. The intercom crackled to life, and a voice on the other end asked, "Yes?" Olivia took a deep breath and spoke, "I found something that belongs to you." "It's a wallet. I want to return it." There was a brief silence, followed by a faint chuckle. The voice on the other end sounded skeptical, almost amused. "A wallet? You found my wallet?" the voice asked. Olivia nodded, even though the person couldn't see her. "Yes, I found it on the street. It has cash, cards, and an ID," she said, her voice firm. After a long pause, the voice responded, "All right, come to the front door." Olivia's legs felt like jelly as she walked towards the front door. Was she making a mistake? She didn't know what would happen next, but she couldn't back down now. The gate opened slowly, and she stepped into a world that felt completely alien to her. The marble floors, the sparkling chandelier, the air thick with luxury, it all made Olivia feel even smaller than before. She walked towards the door, her heart in her throat. The millionaire who owned this house, who owned everything Olivia had never had, was about to meet the girl who had returned his lost wallet. Would he be grateful, or would she be dismissed as just another beggar? Olivia stood at the front door, her hands shaking as she clutched the wallet tightly. The door swung open, revealing a man in a tailored suit who looked at her with a mixture of curiosity and indifference. His appearance alone sent a wave of discomfort over her. He was everything she was not, polished, well-groomed, and surrounded by an aura of wealth. "Are you the one who found my wallet?" he asked, his voice cool but not unkind. Olivia nodded, her throat dry. "Yes, I found it on the street. I thought it was the right thing to return it." Her voice faltered slightly, but she steadied herself. She couldn't let herself be intimidated now. The man didn't immediately take the wallet from her. Instead, he glanced at her briefly, taking in her worn clothes and unkempt appearance. His eyes seemed to soften for a moment, but then quickly returned to their distant, emotionless gaze. "I appreciate you returning it," he said, almost as if he were reading from a script. "You're a rare kind to find someone who would do such a thing." Olivia felt a strange sense of discomfort wash over her. Was that all? A thank you, and nothing more? She had expected a little more, something to acknowledge the sacrifice she had made. After all, returning a wallet worth hundreds, possibly thousands, wasn't something most people would have done. The man took the wallet from her, but there was no smile, no warmth in his gesture. Just the cold, mechanical action of taking back what was his. Olivia stood there awkwardly, unsure if she should leave or say something else. Her gaze dropped to her shoes and she shifted from foot to foot, feeling the weight of the moment settle heavily on her chest. "Would you like some money for your trouble?" the man asked, his tone distant, as if he were offering a coin to a street performer. Olivia's eyes widened in surprise. Money? It was tempting, so very tempting. The bills in the wallet had been a lifeline for her, and now he was offering her more in return for doing what was right. But Olivia knew deep down that this wasn't what she needed. She didn't need money. What she needed was to feel seen, to feel that her actions mattered. And yet, here she stood in the grand, cold lobby of a mansion, feeling more invisible than ever. She had returned the wallet because it was the right thing to do, not because she expected a reward. "No, thank you," she said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. "I didn't do it for money." The man looked at her, clearly taken aback. For a moment, there was a flicker of something in his eyes, surprise, maybe even admiration, but it was gone as quickly as it had appeared. "All right then," he said. "Thank you again for your honesty. I'll have someone escort you out." The lack of any real connection made Olivia's heart ache. She had hoped, in some small way, that this would be the moment that could change things for her. But all she had received was a hollow thank you and an offer of money she had refused. As she turned to leave, the man called out to her, "Wait!" She paused, heart racing. Had he changed his mind? Maybe he had realized something about her character, about her integrity. "You're a rare one," he said again, his voice softer this time. "You've got principles. You don't find that in people these days." Olivia didn't know what to say to that. She didn't want to be a rare one or a person of principles if it meant she would always be invisible. She longed for more than just being the person who did the right thing while everyone else moved on with their lives, untouched and unaffected. "I just wanted to do the right thing," she replied quietly. "I'm sorry for bothering you." Before he could respond, Olivia turned and left the mansion, the heavy doors closing behind her with a quiet thud. She walked down the grand steps, back into the cold, dark street that she knew so well. The lights of the city sparkled around her, but they seemed distant, unattainable. She hadn't expected the millionaire to offer her a handout or to change her life in an instant. But the cold indifference with which he had received her, the lack of recognition, made her feel smaller than ever. As Olivia walked through the streets, the questions in her mind swirled in confusion. What had she hoped for? A thank you that would make her feel seen? A reward that would validate her sacrifice? Or maybe she had simply wanted to believe that doing the right thing would lead to something good, something real. But as she trudged through the streets, the weight of the evening pressed down on her. Was she a fool for thinking that honesty would lead to anything more than loneliness and rejection? Was she just another faceless figure in the city, one that people like him could pass by without a second thought? But there was something inside her that refused to accept that. Maybe the millionaire had been indifferent, but that didn't mean Olivia's actions had been in vain. She had stayed true to herself, no matter how small or invisible she felt. And that was something no one could take away from her. For the first time in what felt like ages, Olivia raised her head high, determined to walk through the city on her terms, not anyone else's. Olivia walked through the city streets, her thoughts a whirlwind of confusion and disappointment. She had returned the wallet to the millionaire, had done the right thing, and yet it felt as though nothing had changed. The cold wind bit through her clothes, but it was nothing compared to the chill that had settled in her chest. She wondered if she had made a mistake. Was it worth it? Had she chosen the wrong path? As she wandered aimlessly, her mind still reeling, her phone buzzed in her pocket. Surprised, she pulled it out, seeing an unknown number flashing on the screen. She hesitated for a moment, then answered. "Hello?" Olivia's voice was hesitant, unsure. "Olivia, is that you?" a voice asked, and Olivia froze in place. The voice on the other end was familiar. It was the man from the mansion, the one she had returned the wallet to. Yes, this is Olivia," she replied, her heart racing. "Is everything okay?" There was a slight pause before the voice continued, its tone more serious than before. "I need to speak with you. Can you come back to my house? I have something important to tell you." Olivia's mind raced. Why would he want to talk to her again? Was this some kind of trick? She wasn't sure what to think, but something about his voice, an urgency, a change in tone, told her this wasn't a typical conversation. "I don't understand," Olivia began, but the man interrupted her. "Just come. I promise it won't take long. Please." The call ended abruptly, leaving Olivia standing there, her mind a mess of questions. What could he want now? And why after everything that had happened? She glanced down at the phone again, uncertainty swirling inside her. Should she go back? Part of her wanted to refuse, to just walk away, but something deep inside urged her to give him the benefit of the doubt. After all, she had returned the wallet out of integrity. Maybe there was more to this story than she realized. With a deep breath, she turned around and made her way back to the mansion, the unease in her stomach growing with every step. She had no idea what awaited her, but she couldn't shake the feeling that this encounter wasn't over yet. When she arrived at the mansion, the gates opened for her almost immediately. She was ushered inside, this time not with the cold indifference she had received earlier, but with an almost strange urgency. The man, whose name she still didn't know, was waiting for her by the front door. His expression was serious, and there was a strange intensity in his eyes. "Thank you for coming," he said, his voice softer than before. "Please come inside." Olivia nodded, her curiosity now piqued. She followed him into the house, her eyes taking in the grandiose surroundings that felt even more surreal this time. The gleaming floors, the towering ceilings, and the expensive decor. It all felt like a world she didn't belong to. Yet she couldn't deny that the sense of mystery about this man, and his sudden request for her to return, was undeniable. He led her to a small study off to the side, where a fireplace crackled softly in the background. The room was cozy despite its opulence. He gestured for her to sit, and she hesitated before taking a seat across from him. "I owe you an apology," he began, breaking the silence. Olivia blinked, caught off guard. An apology? After everything that had happened? Apology, she repeated, unsure of where this was going. He nodded, his face growing more serious. "Yes, I misjudged you when we first met. When you returned my wallet, I thought you were just another person looking for a handout. I didn't recognize your sincerity, and for that I'm sorry." Olivia was taken aback. She hadn't expected this at all. For the first time, she saw something real in the man's eyes, regret, perhaps, or the vulnerability of someone who had been too quick to judge. "I didn't want your money," Olivia said softly, her voice trembling slightly as she spoke the words aloud. "I just wanted to do the right thing." He looked at her for a long moment, then slowly nodded. "I realize that now, and that's why I wanted to talk to you." Olivia's curiosity was growing, but she still didn't understand. "What do you want to talk about?" The man sat back in his chair, his hands clasped in front of him. "You see, Olivia, there's something I didn't tell you earlier. Something important." He paused, as if weighing his words. "The wallet. It wasn't just mine. It belongs to someone else, a person who has been trying to find you." Olivia's brow furrowed in confusion. "Find me? Why would anyone be looking for me?" He took a deep breath, clearly struggling with how to explain. "The wallet belonged to my father. He's been trying to track down the person who returned it. He has a particular reason for wanting to thank you." Olivia was stunned. The wallet didn't belong to the man she had met, but to his father. And now someone was looking for her, wanting to thank her. She couldn't make sense of it. "I don't understand," she said. "Why would your father want to thank me? I just did what anyone else should have done." The man leaned forward, his tone lowering. "You don't know the full story, Olivia. My father, he's been going through something. He's been ill, and he's made some decisions in his life that he regrets deeply. When he saw the wallet missing, it wasn't just about the money, it was about something far more important to him. And when he heard about you, he was moved. You remind him of someone from his past, someone he once knew." The weight of his words sank in. Olivia wasn't sure what to make of the revelation. This was all too much to process. "Your father wants to meet you. He wants to apologize for something that happened long ago," the man continued, his eyes studying her closely. "He feels like your return of the wallet was a sign that he needs to make things right." Olivia was shocked. She hadn't expected any of this. It felt like something out of a dream. The world she had been so desperate to escape from suddenly felt a lot closer than she had imagined. Olivia sat there, trying to absorb everything the man had just told her. The world she had once believed was so far removed from hers had suddenly crossed paths in a way that seemed impossible. A wealthy millionaire's father, someone she had never met, was trying to find her. He wanted to apologize for something that happened long ago. But what could she have possibly done to deserve an apology? The man's expression softened as he saw the confusion on her face. "I know this is a lot to take in, Olivia, but my father believes there's more to your story than meets the eye. He's been through a lot, and the act of returning the wallet, it reminded him of someone from his past." He paused and took a deep breath, as though gathering courage to reveal something even more profound. Olivia was still trying to process the fact that a person she had just met wanted to help her. There had to be more to the story. "Who is this person, your father's past?" she asked, her voice trembling. The man's eyes darkened. "The person my father is reminded of is my mother," he said quietly. "She died when I was a child. It was a tragic accident, and my father has carried the guilt with him ever since. You see, Olivia, my mother was just like you." Olivia's heart skipped a beat. She couldn't quite make sense of it all. "Like me? What do you mean?" The man leaned forward, his eyes locked on hers. "She was kind, generous, and struggled with the same kind of hardships you've been through. She was a poor girl from the streets, someone who had nothing but her dreams. My father met her when he was just starting out in business and they were in love, but his ambition and greed slowly took over, and he chose success over her. He left her, and she disappeared. My father never found her again." Olivia's breath caught in her throat. It was as if he was speaking of a different life altogether. Someone who had walked the same streets she had, someone who had felt the same loneliness and longing. The similarities were eerie. She couldn't help but wonder if fate had brought her here for a reason. "But that's not possible," Olivia murmured. "I'm not her. I'm just a poor girl with no family. I have no ties to you, to your father. I'm just someone who found a wallet and returned it." The man's face softened and he sighed. "You're right. You're not my mother. But the truth is, my father sees something in you that reminds him of her. When he heard about your honesty, about your integrity, it stirred something in him that he thought had long died. You're the kind of person he wishes he had been all those years ago." Olivia's mind raced, trying to piece together the story. She couldn't understand why a wealthy man, someone who had everything, would want to make amends for something that happened so long ago. But as the man continued to speak, the pieces started falling into place. "Ever since he lost my mother, he's been trapped in a cycle of guilt and regret. He's tried to move on, but he hasn't been able to forget. The decision he made back then, the choice to prioritize money and power over love, haunted him every day. And now, seeing you, he feels like he's been given a second chance, a chance to make things right, even if it's just through helping someone else." Olivia's eyes welled up with tears. It was hard to process everything at once. She had lived her life on the streets, struggling to survive, and now she was being told that someone who had everything was trying to fix a mistake that had nothing to do with her. And yet, she couldn't deny that it touched her deeply. She understood regret. She understood what it felt like to wish for a second chance, a chance to undo the mistakes of the past. "You've been through more than I could ever imagine," the man said, his voice cracking. "But my father wants to help you. He wants to make sure you don't end up like my mother, lost, forgotten. He wants to give you a chance to have a better life." Olivia shook her head, her mind spinning. "I don't need his money. I don't need anyone to fix my life. I've survived this long on my own." Her voice was firm, but deep inside she felt the pull of his offer. It was everything she had ever dreamed of, a chance to escape the streets, to have a future, to have a life that didn't feel like a constant fight for survival. The man looked at her, a pained expression on his face. "It's not about money, Olivia. It's about giving you a chance to start over, to find peace. My father wants to help you, but it's up to you whether or not you accept. He's offering you a place to stay, a job, and a chance at a future. But if you turn it down, he'll understand. He doesn't want to push you. He just wants to make sure you know that you have options." Olivia sat there, overwhelmed. This was everything she had wanted, everything she had longed for. But it came with a heavy weight. Could she trust them? Could she trust a man who had once turned his back on someone like her? Could she accept the help of a man who had so much while she had so little? For the first time in years, Olivia allowed herself to imagine a life beyond the streets. A life where she didn't have to constantly worry about where her next meal would come from, where she didn't have to sleep in alleyways, shivering in the cold. But at what cost? Could she really accept a handout from someone like him? Was it worth it? "Take your time," the man said softly. "Think about it. You don't have to decide now." Olivia stood up, her legs weak from the weight of the decision before her. She could feel the pull of the world she had always dreamed of, but there was a part of her that still didn't want to give up on the life she had built for herself. The independence, the struggle. It was all she had ever known. As she turned to leave, she felt a sense of something new stirring inside her, a sense of possibility. No matter what choice she made, she knew one thing: she wasn't the same girl who had found the wallet on the street. She had changed, and that, in itself, was a victory. The next few days were a whirlwind of thoughts and emotions. Olivia could barely sleep, her mind racing with the decision she had to make. The world that the millionaire had shown her, the wealth, the comfort, the promise of a better life, felt like a dream she had never dared to imagine. But was it really hers to take? Was she ready to step into that world? Could she trust the man who had offered it to her? Or was it just another illusion that would eventually fade away? She kept replaying his words in her mind. "My father wants to help you. He wants to give you a chance to start over." The idea of starting over was both terrifying and exhilarating. Olivia had spent so long struggling to survive on the streets that she wasn't sure how to live a different life. She had built walls around herself, walls of survival, of independence. To accept help would mean breaking those walls down. It would mean admitting that she didn't have all the answers, that she couldn't do it alone anymore. But the thought of a life without constant fear of where her next meal would come from, without the cold and the loneliness, was something she couldn't ignore. The man's offer wasn't just about money, it was about giving her a chance to rebuild herself, to find peace, and to have a future that was hers to shape. It was an opportunity that most people would dream of, and yet Olivia wasn't sure if she could grasp it. As the days passed, Olivia continued to struggle with her choice. She walked the city streets, her feet dragging as the weight of her decision pressed down on her. She thought of the people she had met, the kindnesses she had shared with strangers, and the small victories she had claimed in her life. But there was also the reality that if she continued on the path she was on, she might never escape the cycle of poverty and struggle. On the morning she had to make her final decision, Olivia found herself at a crossroads. She stood at the edge of the busy street, watching people rush by in their own lives, seemingly unaware of the battles others were fighting. She felt like an outsider, a person stuck in a world that didn't quite fit her. But what if this offer, this chance to step into something better, was the key to unlocking her future? Her thoughts were interrupted when her phone buzzed again. It was the man from the mansion. She hesitated for a moment, but then answered. "Olivia," he said, his voice sounding urgent. "I need to talk to you. My father, he's been asking for you. He's not well. He wants to meet you. Please just come." Olivia's heart raced. She had been expecting this call, but hearing it now felt like the final push she needed. The weight of the decision she had been avoiding for so long suddenly felt unbearable. It was time. She had to make a choice. Without another thought, she found herself walking toward the mansion once more. Each step felt heavier than the last, but there was something different now. A clarity that had been missing before. She knew that no matter what happened, this moment would define her future. When she arrived at the mansion, The gates opened for her immediately. The man was standing at the door, waiting for her with a look of both relief and concern. "You came," he said, as if he had been unsure whether she would show up. "My father's been asking for you. He's not well. Please, come inside." Olivia nodded, her stomach a mixture of nerves and anticipation. She followed him into the house, walking through the grand foyer and down a long hallway. The house, with all its opulence and grandeur, felt cold and distant. She couldn't help but feel like an outsider in this world, a world that seemed so far removed from the one she knew. They reached a small, dimly lit room where an elderly man lay in a plush armchair by the fire. He looked fragile, his face gaunt and pale, a stark contrast to the vibrant, powerful figure she had imagined when she first heard about him. The man looked up as they entered, his eyes locking with Olivia's. "You came," he said, his voice weak but full of emotion. "I didn't think you would." Olivia felt a pang of guilt, unsure of how to respond. She had been so wrapped up in her own thoughts, so focused on her struggle, that she hadn't fully understood what this man, this father, had been going through. "I had to come," Olivia said softly, her voice barely a whisper. "You wanted to meet me." The elderly man smiled faintly. "I've spent my life making mistakes, Olivia, and the biggest one was walking away from the one person who meant everything to me." His voice cracked as he spoke. "Your mother was a part of my life once. She was my everything, but I lost her because I was too focused on myself, too focused on success. And when I lost her, I lost a part of myself too." Olivia stood in silence, her mind reeling as the man spoke. The pieces were starting to fit together. This wasn't just about the wallet, it was about regret, about a chance to make things right before it was too late. "Your mother," Olivia began, her voice trembling. "She was like me, a poor girl. I don't understand." The man nodded slowly. "She was. And when I see you, I see her. The same strength, the same kindness. It's a reminder of the person I used to be, the person I lost. But you, Olivia, you still have the chance to change your life. Don't let it slip away." The words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. Olivia had come here unsure, afraid of what her decision would mean, but now, standing in front of this man who had once lost everything, she realized something. Her choice wasn't just about escaping the streets, it was about finding a path that would allow her to live with purpose, with honor, and with a future. "Do you want to change your life, Olivia?" the man asked, his voice full of hope. Olivia took a deep breath. She had already made her decision. It wasn't just about money or about what this man could offer her. It was about taking the opportunity to be better, to rebuild herself from the ashes of her past. "Yes," she said, her voice steady and sure. "I do." The following weeks felt like a dream that Olivia was still trying to make sense of. Her decision to accept the help from the millionaire and his father had opened doors she never thought possible. The man, whose name she now knew as Gregory, was not just offering her money or a job, he was offering her the opportunity to rebuild her life in a way she had only imagined in her wildest dreams. She moved into a small apartment near the mansion, a space that was all her own, warm, safe, and comforting. For the first time in months, Olivia didn't have to worry about where she would sleep or if she would have enough to eat. She had a place to call home, and that feeling alone was more than she could have ever asked for. But it wasn't just the material comforts that made a difference. It was the emotional and psychological shift she felt inside her. She had begun to heal. Gregory's father, the elderly man she had met before, had been very clear in his desire to help her, not out of pity, but because he saw something in Olivia that reminded him of the life he once had. He had lost his wife, Olivia's mother, to his own mistakes, and he was desperate to make amends before it was too late. The father's apology was the beginning of Olivia's new life, but it was also the start of Gregory's redemption as well. Over time, Olivia and Gregory began to form a bond, one built on mutual respect and understanding. She didn't see him as just the man who had wealth and power. She saw him as someone who was flawed, someone who had his own battles to face. And through their conversations, Olivia learned that Gregory's life hadn't been as perfect as she had first imagined. Gregory's parents had always put immense pressure on him to succeed, to be the perfect businessman, and to carry on the family legacy. That pressure had driven him to make decisions that isolated him from everything meaningful in life, his relationships, his happiness, and his true self. The more Olivia learned about his past, the more she saw the parallels between their lives. Both of them had been shaped by loss, by mistakes, and by the choices they had made. Olivia soon began working at one of the businesses Gregory owned. It wasn't the high-powered position she had imagined, but it was a fresh start, a chance to contribute in a meaningful way. She started in an entry-level position, but the work was honest, and she felt a sense of pride in what she was doing. She had learned not to expect instant success, but instead to find value in the small victories. Each day, she grew a little more confident, a little more sure of herself. And every time she looked at Gregory, she realized that he had given her more than just a job. He had given her the opportunity to prove to herself that she was capable of more than just surviving. Months passed, and Olivia's life continued to change. She no longer walked the streets, unsure of where she would go next. She had a career, a home, and the freedom to make choices that were hers to own. But it wasn't just the material things that mattered, it was the sense of self-worth that had been rebuilt from the ground up. She had learned that her past did not define her, that who she was in the present and who she chose to become was what truly mattered. One evening, as she walked through the park near her apartment, Olivia felt a sense of peace wash over her. She had come so far from the girl who had found a wallet on the street and returned it without expecting anything in return. She had faced countless struggles, but she had never given up on herself. She had learned to trust in her own strength, and now, with her future stretched out before her, she felt a calm sense of hope. Gregory, too, had changed. The man who had once been so focused on success and wealth was now someone who valued connection and honesty more than anything else. He had apologized to his father, and together they began to rebuild their fractured relationship. The love and understanding that had been lost so many years ago began to surface again, slowly but surely. Olivia's relationship with Gregory had evolved, but it was a quiet one, rooted in respect and understanding. They shared stories, laughter, and moments of vulnerability, but neither of them rushed the process of what was unfolding between them. There was no pressure to become something they weren't. They were simply two people learning to navigate the complexities of life, and that, in itself, was enough. One evening, as Olivia sat in her apartment, gazing out the window at the city lights below, she realized that she had finally found her place in the world. She wasn't just surviving anymore, she was living. And for the first time in years, she allowed herself to dream again. She dreamed of more than just a stable job or a comfortable home. She dreamed of creating a life that was truly her own, filled with purpose, love, and the promise of a future that had once seemed so unattainable. Olivia had found a way to embrace her past without letting it define her. She had learned that true strength came not from the struggles she faced, but from the courage to face them head-on and choose a different path. And now, as she looked toward the future, she knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, she would be ready. Her life was no longer just about returning a wallet. It was about embracing the possibilities that came with every new day. And with that, Olivia walked confidently into her future, knowing that she was the one who had the power to shape her own story. If Olivia's journey of resilience, redemption, and hope resonated with you, remember that no matter the struggles you face, every decision you make holds the power to change your life. Don't let your past define you. Embrace the opportunities for growth, change, and the chance to rebuild yourself. If you've enjoyed Olivia's story and want more tales of transformation, integrity, and unexpected twists, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Join us as we explore stories that inspire and empower. Stay tuned for more, and always remember, your future is in your hands, and the choice to change it begins today.